Hey guys, it's Captain Matt here with the Lighting Trade School podcast. I am joined by Glow Daddy Shane Duffy, my man out in Texas. How are you doing?
Doing good. You love saying hello, Daddy. That's
I
hilarious.
do. I love it. I love it.
It's
I love it most because when we were walking around Nate's backyard, you said that one of your names was Glow Daddy, and he was. I am never calling another man daddy. And with that, our mentor Nate the Illuminator Mullen, obviously here as well.
How you guys doing?
Doing fantastic.
good.
Fantastic.
I've had a great week. Actually, late July is always kind of slow, at least for us. Right? It's hot as balls. It's 100 degrees. It's humid. August is even worse. But we're actually getting some really good traction here. Landed a big job. That was big. We got a big 6-figure job that we pretty much just closed. That's a kind of a huge win.
Okay. Hell yeah.
That's good.
That's definitely a huge win.
Congratulations.
Get one of those a day. I mean, why not?
Multi 6-figure.
Oh. Okay.
Put it away. Job.
Put it away, boys. Put it away. We get it. You're the Glow Daddy.
You're the Glow Daddy.
Hilarious.
So I was having a call with one of our guys in our inner circle, and he was, he hired somebody from a temp agency. I've newly hired a couple guys. I've actually got a guy coming in from Alabama in August. Shane's got a cool process hiring. Nate's obviously hired and fired thousands of people from his various companies and everything. So really want to talk today about hiring, like the hiring process, how you keep guys, who should you have, who should be doing what, kind of just like a general topic, right? Of our best practices, what works for us, what doesn't work for us. And I'm sure it's going to be really interesting because I think we're all going to have, a different angle, a different viewpoint here. So I'm super pumped. So I guess first question is, Nate, what would be your guess of how many people that you've hired over the years of the various companies from Unique to Off-Road Warehouse to, well, even, what you're doing now?
Laundromats,
lifetime lighting,
electrical contracting. So definitely 3 companies, each one of them was over 10 years, over 100 employees each. So certainly 1,000 people, give or take, probably fired hundreds.
Yeah.
So a lot. So you learn a lot about hiring and firing practices, right? So, that whole thing, hire slow, fire fast. Sometimes that's difficult because the selection, especially when you want to grade your people to where, and every company is the same, I guess, whether you do outdoor lighting, electrical contracting was, there's so many skill sets in electrical contracting. There's so many skill sets in doing off-roading, working on Jeeps and shit, and outdoor lighting. We all want A players. That's for sure, but you learn that you categorize your company, right? So let's just take landscape lighting because that's what we fucking do today. So you can have ditch diggers, which don't really require a lot of brain power, but it requires somebody that can dig a ditch. When I say dig a ditch, we don't dig ditches. We dig tiny little trenches that are 2 inches deep or 3 inches deep, but still it can be hard work and it's tedious. I want an A player that digs my little trench. I don't need the trench digger to be able to make the perfect connection, which I need an A player to do that. So my A player in digging a trench and digging a slit in the ground to hide the wire doesn't need to be an A player and doing a connection. He could be an F player in that. I don't care. So you learn that you got to categorize the help, and then depending on within 1 hour whether that fucking guy is any good. So for me, hire slow, I could hire fast and fire fast, right? Was giving them right test. So if I know in 1 hour, because you got to remember the best time an employee gives you is in his first hour, let alone the first day. That's his best time. He shows up on time. He's doing whatever on time. He's paying attention on time. So what does he do hour by hour? I give him tests. So I don't give him, I look at people and my foremen and people that have worked for me, when they were in the foreman capacity, they would overwhelm people. They give them way too much information, too many tasks, right? Give them one task, have them do it in an hour. And it's always simple tasks. I don't give them hard tasks. You can't do a simple task. You can't do a hard task. So I typically know in an hour or two and get rid of the motherfuckers, right? So get rid of them. So I break it down into segments and I fire super, super, super fast.
You
Get
said
rid of them.
Nate, are you just talking about you'll just give them like a simple task and see how they do, and that's what you're calling a test? Or you're
So it really depends on, what you're doing. Obviously, if it's electrical contracting, I would give them written tests depending on their scope and if they're apprentices, first year apprentices, second year apprentices, third year apprentices, journeymen, right? But I would give them written tests and physical tests, right? Like boxing and, roping and cutting wires and stripping, right? Right now, whether it's, say in manufacturing, right? Which, we cut all of our own copper pipe for all of our stems. Cutting the copper pipe is like the easiest task. That's the test. Can you pay attention? Can you cut a 24-inch stem with 36-inch stem? Can you use a measuring tape? Can you ream the copper pipe out? Can you cut it fucking straight? If you can't do that, right, in an hour, get rid of him because he's brain dead. Can't do it, right? Can they pay attention? You tell them, I need you to cut 10 pieces of pipe. I need you to find me, right? And I don't care. I don't want you to cut the 11th. You need to find me, interrupt me. If they sit there and they cut 15 pieces of pipe without finding me and I told them 10, fire them, right? So you have to be able to be diligent, and if they can't pay attention and follow orders in their test, right? Then you got to get rid of them. All they do is, people don't realize this. It takes so much time and energy to train somebody. I mean, it fucks you, right? So you got your foreman. Your smartest guy is typically. And here's another thing I learned, right? You have to have your smartest guy train. I have seen so many countless on my companies and so many people that I know that own the companies. They never have their smartest guy trained because their smartest guy is making them money. So they have their dumbest guy train people. I think you talk about the definition of dumb is having your dumbest guy train the new guy. Now the dumbest guy training the new guy is the dumbest the guy, right? So you never do that. You have your smartest guy train everybody, right? So that guy learns all the best habits, does everything correctly. So you got to make sure that you fire fast because it takes time away from the smart guy training the guy. So you have to have a progression of training, right? Do simple tasks, get good, move on to the next task. Become efficient at cutting the pipe and do it all day, if you will. Do it for 2 days, and then the next progression, whatever that is, and then the next progression. But you'll know within hours, that for sure hours, and then days. Does this guy have what it takes to be part of my company, right? In any of the segments, whether it be dirt digging or making connections, whether it be cutting pipe, boxing, making fixtures, wiring houses, whatever that segment and the progression is, make sure that it's a well thought out progression, right?
Yeah, I'll
Because
say.
typical long answer. Thorough answer. I like that.
with training, like most of these guys training, like they don't have 100-man companies. A lot of these guys, it's like their first or second, third guy. So they don't have training laid out perfectly yet, right? I always tell them, hey, keep track of what you're training, write it down so that you can start at least building that process. But when you're training someone, you can't rush that training process. Kind of what, like, if you're with someone for a half a day and then you just leave them on the job by themselves, that's horrible. You're setting them up for absolute failure. You can have a guy who would have been an A+ player all of a sudden become an F guy because you're not giving him the attention, or you're trying to save him money. When you hire somebody, like, once like, okay, I'm willing to risk putting my time, energy, and money into this guy or girl, but you have to realize it is going to cost you time, money, and energy. So don't try to rush that process. If you're hiring them to be that A player, realize you have to train them that. I say that so many times where these guys are, and I've done it myself, where I hire someone that's good, and then I kind of just throw them into the wild without enough training, right? Like, oh, we were in the warehouse, I showed him how to strip a wire. He's good to go. It's setting him up for failure and me up for failure. So just go in knowing it's going to cost you more money than normal to get that person up to the point where they're going to be able to go out there and make you money.
So I think one of the key things that people need to remember, you need to remember this: people do what you expect, I mean, I'm sorry, people never do what you expect. They only do what you inspect. So leaving them on a job site, you say, is the dumbest thing in the world because you're not inspecting. You have to inspect every 10 minutes, every hour, every 2 hours, whatever that you need, you come up in your own formula of inspecting. You have to inspect, inspect, inspect. The other thing is the concept of hiring an A player is the fucking stupidest thing in the history of the world. You can never fire A players because A players always have work. A players are never at temp agencies. A players are never out of work. A players are never sitting on the fucking couch waiting for the phone ring. A players always have a job. The only time you can ever get an A player is steal the A player. When I built my previous companies, I stole A players. That was my whole fucking thing. Steal A players and then hire C players that could develop into A players. And you know that right away. Are they trainable? Do they listen? I don't want B players because B players a lot of times have bad habits and I have to retrain the bad habits and I don't want that. So I don't mind having good C players that have the ability to I can manipulate, foster and mentor into an A player. Okay? So it's very, very it is it's a long play. I mean, you don't build an A company overnight. It can take 10 years to build, 5 to 10 years to build a good company because you hire and fire every day. I mean, every company I ever owned, right? I continuously ran an ad in the paper and I hired and fired every day, hired and fired every day, hired and fired every day. Because I can tell you, when you're
That's
building
not
a team,
relatable to like a small businesses. Maybe when you have 100
no,
employees, I don't
when you
hire
have
a
10,
fire every
no,
day.
when you have 10, when you until you reach the point where if you have a 10-man company, right? You should have 10 A players, right? Now
Mhm.
remember, an A player, can be the A player in digging the trench. If you don't have an A player in a small company, you have to hire and fire every day until you have 10 A players, right?
Okay.
I wanted to have 100 A players and 100 employee A players, so I had to hire and fire every day my whole fucking life. But the reason you do that because when you have A players that are working their asses off and they go on and they maybe they work at home and they answer the phone at night, but they don't waste time and they're methodical and they clean up after them. They do everything perfect. And then you have some C player come in that fucks off and is 10 minutes late, right? And starts disrupting people. And you don't crucify that guy in front of everybody and get rid of that smuck. It
Yeah.
ruins
There.
every A player, right? And people are
Yeah.
so misguided on that concept. Fuck that D player. Get
So you're
rid of him.
maybe it triggered a thought and a question here for you guys: good practice or bad practice? So there's this guy, right? He's a competitor. We'll call him Dan. Every time he happens to see one of my guys, whether it's in a truck at a gas station or we're at a job and they're in the neighborhood driving by, they will stop, go approach my guy and say, hey, if you know what you're doing, come over here. We'll give you a $500 signing bonus and a raise. And that's like their strategy. Like they do this to any company. And I know the guy. He's like almost a friend. It's like, dude,
That's
ask why.
brilliant. I've done.
So
Yeah.
yeah, is that good strategy, shady strategy in y'all's mind?
I think it's good strategy. Absolutely. Right. Like let you train them and then let me pay them what they should be. If a guy walking up to one of your guys is able to steal him for $500 and a little raise, that means you're not taking good enough care of your guys.
So that's
In my
exactly what I say, right? Is my job to create a good culture and make people not want to leave, right? To think that the grass is greener on the other side. And luckily, out of the 3 or 4 times he's done this over several years, I've never had anyone leave. And they come and they tell me. So good sign, right? That my company's strong. But I have heard other people that he's done this to. And man, it pisses them off. I spent years training this guy and you come around and snag him like off of my money and training. So I do think it's a little bit of a shady practice, and I wouldn't want to do that to my competition. But I mean, it is a way to get a good trained employee too.
Well, again, I'm going to hold fast to if your employees are that easily stealable, then you got something going wrong with the company. I don't care how much money you've spent training them. If you can literally walk up to a guy in a truck and get him to join you, there's something else going on in that company.
Hmm.
I think it just comes down to your own personal beliefs. So if you owned a fucking football team, don't you think a football team, baseball team, hockey team, don't they try to steal talent every day? That's the general manager's right job is to go steal talent, build a winning football team to win the Super Bowl. So if we have the mindset that, we need to win the Super Bowl, whatever your high end goals are, right? You have to build a team around you. And unfortunately, stealing talent is a huge part of being able to get that talent base. It's stealing it. It's hard to train every single person. So when
And
you can
that's a
steal
great
talent,
analogy.
so when you can steal talent, you got to steal talent. Now I love acronyms. So I have an acronym. I've lived on this acronym for 50 fucking years, and it's called SMART, MASMART. And it stands for smart motherfuckers always retain talent. I never want talent to leave, right? Ever. When I have an A player, I am not going to lose that talent. I know what talent gets paid. My competitor's not going to pay 2 times what I pay. So it's not even possible that they can steal my talent. It's impossible. The only time that my talent's going to leave is for some reason we don't click on a personality level. He does something so bad, right, that I would have to fire him, which would be super rare, right? But I can tell you, in my looking, right, of people that I have known, they can be some of the most cheapest, deadheaded, stubborn people. And I can give you examples of my old partner, right? That we had 17 outside sales guys, and these guys would travel, and they would travel out of states and go to conventions, and they would go to wherever, put on unique universities and do all this shit away from their families. So I can remember one time Steve L submitted a lunch receipt for a fucking hamburger and a Coke. It was $25, and he submitted this receipt, and my partner goes, didn't reimburse him for that. And Steve Lawrence calls, what the fuck aren't you reimbursing? And my partner goes, well, wouldn't you have to buy lunch anyway? And yep, you're right. That ruined him. Okay.
Mm.
That ruined him for $25 because he's thinking, are you fucking kidding me? I'm away from my fucking family. I travel on my own dime. I do all this shit and you can't buy me a goddamn hamburger. It's not like he went out and bought a steak dinner, which I would have gladly paid for a steak dinner. But my partner was so cheap in that regard that didn't want to buy him a hamburger. I'm never like that, right?
Mm.
I may not want to buy you a goddamn dinner at Ruth Chris that costs $400, but I'm sure the fuck gonna buy you an In-N-Out burger and Coke and fries, right? So
Mm.
I think that when you're allowed to be, and you guys said it earlier, you're allowed to be stolen for $500, you deserve it, right? You got to look at yourself in the mirror and why am I losing talent? It's you. It's not the talent. It's you, right? You're the reason you lose talent. So I never had talent leave me. I treated my guys really well. I paid extremely well, but I demanded everything, right, at a high level. So, but yeah, it's without the best employees, man, it's hard.
I want
And
to
it's
go
hard to
back.
train.
I'll go back to something Nate was saying earlier, where he was talking about the guy digging the trenches doesn't have to be doing the connections, but he can still be an A player. And I think with these small or micro companies, right, where we have one or two guys, it can be super easy to take that, hey, this guy's awesome at digging trenches. And then you just start putting more work on him that is outside of what he's capable of. And you ruin him. And then you end up losing a really good employee. Shane, you ever done something like that or what? Like where you put the wrong guy in the wrong place and he was good in the old place and then you lost him?
I have. Yeah. Or you take a good guy in one area and you're like, hey, he's going to be good in this area. I did that mistake with sales. Like, well, hey, he's really good at doing the work. Like, certainly he could sell the work. And no, that didn't work out. And
Did
it
you
ended
lose
up
him?
pissing everybody off.
Yeah.
No, luckily we weren't able to lose him. We put him back in a different role. But that is really common, right? It's the same scenario with we had a really good operator in the field and we put them more in a management type position. Well, they're horrible at directing other people on what to do and seeing the bigger picture and make sure everyone stays busy, but they're really good at keeping busy themselves. So then they kind of just get this, well, I'm just going to do it myself mentality. You guys just sit around and watch. So there are people that are really good and keep them, in their own zone of genius.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the largest things that I've lost really, really good employees is promoting them right to a position that they just weren't capable of. They were great technicians, but they couldn't run crews. They couldn't do that sort of thing. So it's also the reverse though. Just because someone's, really good at running crews, don't expect that they're going to be really good at installing lights and digging trenches. You find the A player for what you're hiring for. The chances of finding that unicorn who is good at literally everything you throw his way or her way is, it's not there, right? It's a unicorn.
So I think, so the biggest mistakes I made, was hiring, say, with didn't matter, we'll just go back to electrical contracting. My top journeyman, my best electrician, make him a foreman. Now I lost my best electrician. I ended up losing my fucking foreman. Worst mistakes in the world. So I think the key to overcome all of this is processes. And I think you look at football, you look at Bill Belichick, arguably one of the greatest coaches of all time. He had a system and processes. He could take anybody from any fucking round in a draft pick and insert them into a system. So I think the biggest thing to be able to train people in the sequential process of your company is processes, right? When you have processes and a methodical way to do something and segmented, right, different things, right? You can slide through the process. It's like cooking. There's processes, and then you can interject different people and then progress. You got to have processes and procedures.
Absolutely. With that, let's talk about, because here we are talking about guys, and I know some guys just say we can't hire anybody, which is ludicrous to me in 2025, because there's just, everyone's out here. There's tons of people being like working for Shane that can be poached for $500. So that could be a hiring practice. Just go to Shane's guys and give them $750 and you're golden. But hiring practice for real. I know, well, Nate's been it's been a while since he's had to hire for a local service business, but obviously he's hiring for Lifetime Lighting. But Shane, how about you? I know already because we've talked recently. Tell me a little bit about your hiring process. Where do you post? And then who do you bring in for an interview?
We used to hate hiring. Man, I used to hate it and despise it. And I think it's probably not uncommon, right? Us as entrepreneurs, we hate what we're not good at. And until you get good at it, then you end up, not hating it so much. So we have an ad that we just post on Indeed. For us, that's easiest. Sometimes we post it on Facebook too. So we've got like a little folder in our drive, it's our hiring process. So it's got our ad. We put a phone number in there. We give them clear directions. Call this number, and then the number is a pre-recorded message of me giving a better job description on what we do. And then I'm asking them questions. I'm asking them about themselves. Ask them if they played any high school sports. I want to know what kind of activities they were in. What did their parents do? Spell your name out. And just kind of basic directions. And you can learn a lot from that applicant, on that message that they receive. If there's a lot of ums and ahs and they sound like an idiot, they're never going to get a call back. And we get a lot of those. But if they sound good, well then Cynthia.
Do you tell them like in advance, like, hey, get a pen, I'm about to leave a voicemail? Like they're leaving this answers on a voicemail, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they just have to remember the questions.
They just have to remember the questions. And I recorded this like 5 years ago. So like it's just an evergreen. It works. But now it also, when you sometimes post an Indeed, you get like 100 applicants. It's overwhelming. So some people, just see the little thing and they click the button and your resume goes to you. And they don't actually read it. They don't know the job description. So having this one simple step, hey, call this number, leave a message, you will not be considered unless you do this. Well, if they never did it, they didn't even read and they don't take direction. So I'm not really interested in them either. So then the ones that do leave a message that sound good, Cynthia will call. She has a script. There's certain questions that she asks them. And then if they sound good from there, she's going to research them on social media, make sure they're not, throwing up signs or flicking people off or smoking blunts on their Facebook page or something dumb that we wouldn't want. And then she introduces them to me and I do a final interview, or my GM, which actually Jason does a lot now.
That's awesome. Yeah. And talking about the social media search or Google search, if you're not doing a full background check, now, depending on your company, what you allow, right? New York, weed is legal. Texas, obviously, it's not. So to expect people aren't smoking weed in New York is crazy when you can go to the store right down the street and buy it. But I had a client where I was actually on site. It was for a city, and they did a whole big photo group with all me and my guys, and it was a bunch of new hires. The next day, I'm turning the radio on and I hear this guy's name mentioned on the radio. And I'm like, yo, that better not be my guy. Like, this guy had pulled a gun on cops. And I'm like, this better not be my guy.
No way.
Google it. It's him. Not only is it my guy who made a stupid mistake right after we did that photo shoot, he was wanted for attempted in Google. He was up. He just left the state and came up and worked for me.
Oh man,
Get a background check.
Wow.
You skipped out a little bit, but I actually had noticed. So someone come in for an interview, and I liked the guy. I thought he was great. He had experience climbing trees. So he's going to be great doing Christmas lights, not afraid of heights. And we tell them we background search. So like everyone, we background and we drug test. And whether we do it or not doesn't matter, but we 100% tell them. And we do background check. We've got a little subscription. But we checked him out because I really liked him. He like got out of prison for 3 years because he shot someone in the face. I was like, oh man. I love the guy, but I just can't bring him on the team. Although you're going to fit in with my guys, even though he seemed like a solid dude now.
He'd be a good guy to collect payments that haven't got paid yet, though.
Yeah. In charge of AR.
Tis true. So, and then we also, Matt, we do a working interview. That's what we call it. We'll invite them out. Hey, come out. I want you to work for the day. We want to see how well you work, and you get a chance to see, you know, if you want to work with us and our team, if you like our vibe. And at the end of the day, I'm going to cash up you. I'll pay you for the day. But this is a full-on working interview before you leave your other job or before we bring you on and go any further. And then that's really helpful. So now my guys actually get to make a decision. They're part of the decision-making process. Like, yeah, this guy's cool. This guy's a hard worker. He's not on his phone all day. He's not afraid of heights. And
Yeah.
then we come on.
So I think some of the key things that we all end up having our strategy. I hate Indeed. I think there's some of the worst hires I ever hired in my life came from Indeed, and I think it's because every resume that's on Indeed is full of shit. There's not one resume that tells the truth. I hate resumes. When I would bring people into my office, I would shred their resume in front of them because I got so tired of the bullshit. Oh, you increased productivity 42% in the last company you worked on as a plant manager, and you did this, and they got rid of you, and you really did all these superstar shit, and they got rid of you. So I hated resumes. I hated their lies. So I would tell them that, and my process typically was, whether I told them this or in my mind, we dated. Right. I had very set procedures where I fire fast. Right. So I learned that the worst hires that I ever did were the ones that were polished in their answers. And they were like con artists. They're like Democrats. They just were fucking actors. And they just had the right saying and they did everything correctly. And they were the worst hires. Right?
Oh, Dad.
So it just especially with AI and stuff. I mean, I've just seen so many. I've seen my, family members, nephews and stuff. They bring resumes and want me to read it, and you're like, yeah, AI did this. There's no way there's no way. This is so fake, right? So, but
Yeah,
anyway,
I've learned to love Indeed. I used to say the same thing. Let me know if I get choppy. I'll stop talking. But I used to say the same thing about Indeed. But now I do like Shane. Instead of a phone number, I say in the ad, to be considered, you have to send me a 30 to 90-second video of yourself and why you want to work here. So we just did this last month, 110 applicants, 6 videos, right? So I only considered 6 videos.
You got to weed them out.
Yeah.
that's smart to weed them out. Yeah.
Perfect. I like the video because then you can see them, right? If they got tattoos on their face.
Well, the biggest thing too is I'd hear, well, my phone's broke. I don't have a phone. All this jazz. It's like if you don't have a phone, if you don't have a phone that can take video,
you're not a player.
No way.
Hey, does anybody have like a super like the funniest story, like beyond funny story about hiring? Maybe you didn't hire them, it was in the interview or something, like a funny story, like worth sharing to the group?
I had a kind of funny one, like as part of the interview process, I haven't done it in a while, but we used to make them go climb a 32-foot ladder. Hey, you say you're not afraid of heights. All right, prove it. One guy got like 10 feet up on the ladder, not even halfway, and shaking like a Bambi, and like needed help getting down. I was like, all right, I don't think this is gonna work.
So I used to do what you said. Sometimes you would bring your foremen to the hiring process, Shane. So, back at Unique, we would, I'd put it to the general manager. We were say, trying to hire a new plant manager or whatever. So I go through a process. Why don't you weed them down to the top two or three? So they would take the initial weeding out process, so I didn't have to be bothered. So they came in one day and they said, "Listen, I really like this one guy. His name was Mark Snyder," and they go, "But he's a snorter, so he snorts, so it kind of drives you crazy and stuff." So anyway, I forget about all this stuff. So this guy comes in. I don't even remember his name, but he comes in. I'm sitting in, me and Randy are sitting in the office. So we're interviewing this guy, and all of a sudden, this guy's talking, and he goes, and he snorts. And I think to myself, "Oh my God, this is the fucking snorter Lisa was talking about. Holy shit!" So he starts, and then Randy's asked a question, and then Randy looks at me, and I'm sort of like, I'm like, yeah. I'm like fucking laughing so fucking hard. I'm turning my head, look away from him. And then, of course, he's talking about, yeah, I can do, and he snorts again. And then he's snorting now. He sees me laughing, which makes him snort fucking, right? Which makes him snort more. I literally had to get up out of the office, shut the door. I'm literally like on the floor laughing my head off, thinking, oh my God, it's a snorter. Randy's in there telling the guy, oh my God, whatever he's saying. Anyway, the guy gets up, I come back in, I start laughing, and the guy literally gets up and says, "You are the most fucked up people, right, I've ever seen in my life, right? I have this disability." And I felt really, really bad, but it was just because Lisa had said he's the snorter, right? Oh my God. It was.
Did you hire him?
That's what I was gonna say.
Huh?
Is this poor guy
He never.
Tourette's?
I
Like
think he would be really, really good, and he was really a good interview. And I think he was really smart, but no, he never. I think we did try to call him back, but he never returned our call, right? But oh my God, it was really. I mean, you probably think I'm pathetic, and you probably don't think it's funny, but it
Well,
was.
you just name dropped him too, so
Yeah, I don't know whether to laugh or like shake my head. Like
I know. I don't know either.
Poor guy.
Well, I felt. I mean, I felt bad. I mean, it was rude, but I mean, but he had to be set up the way Lisa had said it. He's the snorter, right? It was just. I don't know why. I just don't know why he had to be there.
Yeah, I'm not great with names typically, and so I did a whole interview where I was calling the guy whatever the hell his name was. At the very end of the interview, I'm like, I had a great time chit chatting with you, and I'll be giving you a call, Tim. And he's like, "It's been a great interview, but my name is Andrew." So
right.
He waited to the very end to tell me.
Right. So
I hired.
But I would tell you that we ended up having something that was hilarious. So we all have firing procedures, and whether you have exit strategies and how you fire people, everybody's got their own deal. I was a very aggressive firer because I thought it was better for the culture of the company and that we don't hire, we get rid of fucking idiots. But I did take one of the, before I found my best general manager, I took my general manager and I took him to Uno's, and I didn't have any, didn't even dawn on me that I went in duo and came out Uno. So when I would tell people that I'm taking them to Uno's for lunch, they were fucking nervous, right?
Nice.
Yeah, it was nice. Oh my God.
Well, I gave someone a couple tips. Did we talk about hiring online or hiring agencies?
We have not talked about that.
No. So, I mean, to sum up hiring agencies, they can be, hiring agency is different than temp agency. Let's be real. Hiring agency could be very useful for CEO role.
Placement agencies. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But day labor, temp agencies, the people that are there, the vast, vast majority can't get a real job. Why would you want them on your team? Now, if you're doing like hey, I need an extra guy or two for a couple day project. Okay. That might make a lot of sense. Easy. They can just feed you people, but to try to find your A player. I know a guy is paying $43 an hour for a $25 an hour employee. That's what they're making. And he's 18 and he's paying $43 an hour. And it's the second guy he's gone through. It's not even the first guy. What do you guys think of that?
That's expensive. I would rather use the Very Able app. Have y'all ever used that at all?
No.
I only found out about it because my brother-in-law is homeless most of his life. He's one of those weirdos, but he, says that he uses this app called Very Able, and I signed up for it. And you can post like, "Hey, I've got a job for 2 days. I need someone to trench. I'm looking for someone that's young, someone that's strong, someone who can be work out in the sun. Pays $200 a day, whatever it is." And you'll get people, that say, "Hey, I'm interested in that," and they know it's only a 2-day thing. You're not paying the temp agency, an extra $20 an hour, to get some C player.
Yeah.
So I think temp agency, like you said, Matt, have the dumbest people working for them because they can't get a real job. You're paying double or triple for them, and then by just say a miracle, you did find somebody good from a temp agency. You have to pay that temp agency a lot of money. You sign a
Mhm.
contract with them,
Yeah.
So there is no really hope of finding a good player. So the problem when you're trying to scale in business, because that's what these people do, is they're scaling, right? They're hoping because they have no other avenue, so they could call a temp agency. And when you really analyze it, the amount of time you're trying to train them to do something, except digging a trench, like you said, for 2 days, no training necessary. But if you're thinking you're trying to hire a full-time employee through a temp agency, boy, that logic, that is a miracle. That is one out of probably 10,000. So it's a wrong strategy. So you got to come up with other strategies, like you just said, Able to Work or whatever app you just said, Shane. I know that we learned this in construction a long time ago. We were able to, we pieced a lot of things in construction, which allowed you to be able to call people and build a Rolodex and be able to call people at a whim and say, "Hey, I need you to, can you work for a week or two?" So the mindset was try to build a permanent base for set employees, but then build a network and a base of temporary people that you could call. So say at Lifetime Lighting now, it's taken obviously years and to build a team full time and then a base. When you because every business has spikes, right? All of a sudden you get 5 jobs, you sat here and you did no jobs, and you get a spike. It's crazy, right? Well, every business has that. So instead of trying to freak out and hire temp workers or the ability or this or that, I have a whole team now of part-time people that I can call at a whim that are trained now. They can slide in. So now the ability for me to scale up and down, I fill with temporary workers that I built. So I think that's smart to do too. Got a lot of people that aren't dependent on a 40-hour week job. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of people that love coming in. They work in the evening, they work at night, they do a lot of different things. They're semi-retired, and they can come in and fill in those needs, because that's the problem in business, is scaling up and down, up and down, up
Yeah.
and down. And then we build, then what happens is, happens to all of us, we finally build a team. Then we don't have any work. Now what to do with the team? They're sitting at home. Now you're finding work for them, and it's costing you a fortune. So if you can build, the whole trick is fire enough people until you realize that you need that extra person. Because I can tell you, in every fucking company, we have all fired people, and then you're waiting for the roof to cave in, the phone to ring. You're like, I didn't even miss the guy, right? What the hell was he even doing? So a lot of times we're so overstaffed and so inefficient by having too many people. It's crazy, right? So I tell and I teach, and I believe this when I teach people right on the install. I never want more than a 3-man crew in outdoor lighting, right? Ever,
Mhm.
right? And it's really a 2-man crew, and the third guy is the laborer that digs the trench, the laborer that is doing all the manual work, sweeping the sidewalks. Not, talent doesn't sweep sidewalks. The laborer guy does. So it's really a 2-man crew with a laborer, because the more people you have on a job, the less efficient you are. That's just a fact, right?
I'd
I
also
see so
say,
many people overstaffing.
yeah, and that's the thing I've learned too, is don't be afraid to hire contractors and 1099 for specialty work. When I get into a case with specialty molding and I gotta hire a
Sure.
wire, I've got a woodworking guy I call. It's 500
Mhm.
bucks for a one-time thing, instead of hoping that the guy that can dig the trenches can, do
Yeah.
awesome work on the wood, and I got
Yeah.
hardscape and patio. All these people, you keep them in a Rolodex because it's easier to pay a little bit of money to them because that's all they do every day versus trying to train your guy to do something that he might do twice a year.
Yeah, lifting up pavers would be a good example, right? So, of course, I'm afraid to lift up pavers. Well, you can go find a guy on a part-time that'll come in on a Saturday, lift the pavers up for $500. I don't want to deal with it. Let the expert come in, right, and lift the
Yeah.
pavers up. So, yeah, whether it be, like you said, a carpenter, whether it be painting, saw cutting into the stucco. Yeah, I'll saw cut the stucco. No big deal. But I don't want to patch the stucco. I'll saw cut it, right?
Right.
I'll go on the inside of the house and I'll cut the drywall, right? And then, I will talk to the drywaller and ask them how you want me to cut the drywall so I can have the patch for you to make it easy for you, right? So we're skilled in that, but yeah, then hire somebody that'll come in and patch the drywall. Because there's a lot of times I'll go in there and I'll cut the inside of the drywall of a home, right? And to get a wire someplace that I need it, and then let the expert come in and patch it. So yeah, 1099. Yeah, build your team.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
We
so
a 1099 crew every year
Yeah.
for Christmas.
All
They
right.
will-
Well, oh, sorry. Well, I thought you were done when you said that. 5
Oh,
years
no,
you've been doing
yeah.
it?
Well, I've had a 1099 crew that we bring on for Christmas, specifically in November when things get nutty.
Yeah.
We've had them for 5-6 years, and they come and they just work a little bit in November. They're great.
Sweet.
It
I'm getting
just-
frustrated with my internet. So Shane, also tell everyone listening, we have all three amigos coming together for single training. Tell them about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So February 25th, 26th, 27th. Come in February 24th, right? We'll have a evening kind of meet and greet. We're going to have these details on our website, lightingtradeschool.com. But all three amigos, we're going to hold an advanced training. This is not for beginners. We're not going to teach you how to strip wires and make a connection and put a stake in the ground. This is more advanced training. So you need to have a basic level of knowledge, right, to go to this, but it's going to be in February for 3 days. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, come in Tuesday night in the great San Diego area. So if any of you guys are Yankees like Matt, you're covered in snow, come on down to San Diego. It's going to be a blast. Yankees, is that derogatory?
I don't think so. I mean, that's our team up here, right? Yankees.
I think so. All right. Yankees. So, yeah, did I miss anything? Mark your calendars. Let us know. There's going to be limited spots available. We still like to keep it kind of small and quaint so we can really kind of get hands-on. We'll be doing an install. We're going to teach demos. We're going to teach advanced stuff.
Yeah, and this has been, all three of us, it's been almost 2 years since we've all got together to do a single training. And that's since the very first training. So this is huge. You want to meet all three of us. You want, we all have different expertise. We all different, all mentored under Nate, but we have different ways of doing things, marketing, lighting, all of this jazz. You do not want to miss it. If you're listening to this podcast, this is something put on your calendar, save up your pennies. Let's go.
You get to see me make fun of Matt and Shane in person. That's fucking worth the trip right there. Hey, I want to go back. Real quick on something, just because the attorneys are listening in right now, and they're making me tell this because of the fine print. 1099, you got to really be careful on, because in California, you're not going to be able to legally 1099 anybody. So you got to check with your own state to find out what the legal ramifications are of 1099, because it can be a legal nightmare. So, right, and a lot of states follow California, and 1099 used to be legal in California, and it's technically not legal anymore. Okay, so it is legal. What's that?
Leave it to California to make things difficult.
No, it is. It's terrible. So you got to be super, 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 super careful. So I don't ever want to tell anybody without checking with your own state.
And if you're 10, I did a whole episode on captain's quarters. If you're have an employee and you're 1099ing them, that's going to get exposed at some point. You can't 1099 an actual employee. It's going to bite you in the ass.
Yeah,
it does. It does. Hey, but anyway, yeah. So I think getting back to the seminar, it's not you're going to be your typical seminar. I think most seminars are a joke out there. They really are. And I'm sure there's some that aren't. But it's going to be very high level lighting assassin type shit. right? You're going to come, you're going to work your ass off. We work from in the morning till after dark. So it's not like, if you're afraid of work, if you're afraid to go outside and do a demo, we don't listen to whining. Go sit in your hotel room. We don't give a shit, right? It's not about coming out here and relaxing. We work very hard, right? So
Yep, sun
that's
up,
why
sun down. That's
I want to make sure
mine.
that, because some people
Absolutely.
come out here and they don't realize they're used to going to seminars with a bunch, I guess, crybabies, and they sit around and I don't know what the hell they do, but they just sit around and whine and cry when are they going to get their next fucking cookie and glass of milk? And it's like, that's the last thing on my fucking mind is cookie and milk. What's on my mind is fucking setting lights up and learning and how to make you guys money.
Well, shit. Now I want cookies and milk.
You
Yeah.
can't.
Man.
I don't think you can have a successful lighting seminar and not work at night when you can see the lights.
Right.
So I mean, we're learning during the day and going to job sites and checking things out at night.
True statement.
All right. Awesome, boys. It's been a good one. Have a great week, everybody. Mark your calendars, lightingtradeschool.com, end of February. Hope you guys go out and make a whole shit ton of money.
Thanks for paying attention.